So good afternoon, everybody. Here we saw March 17, 2020, and we are going to be dealing with our first lecture on project management. For that, the first step is to describe the differences between what is a project and what is a process. So the first big difference is that when we deal with a project, we're dealing with something that, or an entity that has beginning T0 and it has an end Tn. Okay. As a process is an ongoing entity. It is indefinite, if you wish. The next difference is that if you have a project, it is usually goal-oriented, and if you have a project, it is usually goal-oriented, and if you have a process, it is usually direction-oriented. This is the way to manage a project, and the way to manage a process is different because of this, and we will deal with these different management approaches in the next couple lectures. Okay. So, in order to graphically describe what is a project, let me paint and what is the process. Let me paint two pictures. When we describe a project, or when we manage a project, we usually start in T0, and we describe a certain set of actions, usually they're called work packages, that are depending on each other. Okay, they depend on each other for completion, because they cannot start before the others are done, and we try to finish our project at a certain time. These actions are planned, and if we describe them, it's usually called the Gantt diagram. Once we have our Gantt diagram, we say we can start with our project management efforts. Whereas when we describe a process, we have a certain set of actions as well, a certain set of tasks that are being performed and that are connected through material and information flow, let's say MF. It's called material flow, and IF. It's called information flow. Okay, and as we will see later on, this creates some value for a customer. Let me paint the customer with a little heart, because of course we love the customer, and this customer is giving us something back for our efforts. He or she is giving us money. Okay, so that this person, this entity, this customer is giving us money because we are creating value for them. So with a stream of information, material, and people and stuff. So we're creating a value stream. Please remember this word and mark it and put three stars on top of it. This word is super, super, super important. Okay? And process is per definition a value stream. Very important. So this is page number 1. Oh, sorry. This is page number 1. And now let's get into detail on how to perform management on management and the differences between project and process management. Now imagine we're building a house. So we would like to build a house with a tree and some beautiful, I don't know, beautiful lake leaves and stuff like that. I don't know, the mountains behind you, and on your location, and you get everything you want. You get you've got your money, you have saved money, and you would like to build a house at a certain spot. So now you need a plan. And the first thing you do to build your house is the first step. The very first thing you need to do is to create a little plan of how you think it should be done. So this is time, and these are certain actions that you are planning to do. So first thing you do is you plan something. The second step is you go and you try to measure how you perform to that plan. So you can go and measure your time performance. You can measure your cost performance. You can measure your quality, and so on and so forth. So let's say, and I will go into detail later on. Let's say you are going to measure your time performance by measuring your delay. Okay. So this is your delay. And then you go and after measuring your delay, you describe on your plan, you describe both your future and your current state of the process you would like to achieve. This is step number 3. After you've done that, you go and you describe your prioritization. And once you prioritize the main problems that you're having, once you've done that, you go and then you analyze why. So this is the priority, and then you try to understand why you have these problems, why this guy moving your windows is not doing it correctly and stuff. So once you know why, what you want is to create a new action that takes care of that. So basically you're adjusting your plan. Okay, with this new action, you're adjusting your plan. New action after analysis, and this is what we want to make sure we do very, very, very good, because this new action is going to mean a success or not. Once we have our new action, we measure again. So we measure again, and we have gotten our delay down. And after we have done this several times, so the first thing we do is the do, then we do the plan, then we do our check. Sorry. First we do our do, then we do our check, and then we do our plan, and we do that n times. And after that, we'll go to the act and describe the best way we know to perform our house project, so that the next time we do a new house, we are able to perform better than the first time we tried. So basically, what you're trying to do is that, and this is done many times in organizations. First thing is in which projects are repeated. We create a certain set of actions. First, we plan, then we check our performance, our current performance, then we describe our future and current process, then we describe our priority, and then we do the analysis, and then we adjust our plan. So after that, we create an action that is an act, which is a standard for the next time we do the project. So our way to do project management is called BCPNA. B is do, C is check, P is plan, N times, and then A is the act, is the closing part. Yeah, so that way we get our house filled up with minimum resources, and we can go and fish with our kids right away. So what's the difference between building a house, which is usually a project, and let's see the colors I used. This was green. This was green. Okay. And this was red. So what's the difference between building a house and performing the process management? Okay, we're going to try to weight. And as with any process, we can decide how to measure the input, the output, or the process. So we have three different types of KPIs. In this case, an output KPI would be the kilograms or the pounds we're losing. The input KPIs would be the kilocalories per minute or per day we are adjusting. The process KPI would be the minutes scored a day we do, or the hours scored a day we do. And that would be a process KPI. Okay. So we're cool with that, and we think we can try to perform a weight loss with our process management effort. The first thing we do is do the check. And here we describe, I'm going to go very fast on that because we have already seen this before in our lectures, previous semesters. First thing we do is we do the check with the KPI. So this is the kilograms. Today we weigh this much. And here. And after doing the KPI, we go in the plan and we describe our current state. First, we describe, and then we describe the top one priority. So this is step number 1, step number 2, step number 3 is the priority. Step number 4 is the analysis. After doing the analysis, we create an action. Step number 5, after doing the action, we go and standardize. If this action has been successful, we standardize it into the process by integrating the action into the process. So this action gets integrated into the process as we and this is very roughly how do we perform with process management. So this the difference between process management and project management is that here we start with the check, and we continue with the plan, CPD, and A. Okay. CPD and nothing else. It's a different way to deal with challenge of so now let's continue by focusing on the project management, which is the lecture today. And we deal with the project management in detail, D, C, P, and A in the following manner. Following manner. What we first do is let's describe the do. And for that, we just have a two-dimensional chart, which is usually, okay, this is the easiest way, which is usually compartmentalized in so-called word packages, groups of actions, word package N, that have actions within that depend on each other. They're dependent actions, okay? So let's say this is word package 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 3.1, and so on and so forth. And these actions depend on each other. So remember, the house, you cannot build the roof without having the ground laid, okay? So this is usually called completion, or here we track completion by having our resources tracked, and we can visually describe which are done, which not, and stuff like that. Here we can also go and say, well, I have here on each word package, I have a set of resources allocated, and I have a certain budget allocated, and so on and so forth. So we can describe who's responsible and who is the process owner and the work package owner, sorry. And then the check, as said before, there are many different ways to track project performance. I like this very easy way for the beginning. You can go and say, I track my time performance index by measuring how much delay do I have. So I just go and put a little line, okay? Let's imagine I draw a little line here every week. I have here a certain set of delays. These are called back spikes, okay? And I just go and say, look, I measure my delays every single week. I measure my back spikes every week. So here I have one 10 days delay. Here I have 15 days delay. Here I have 7 days delay. So I have 32 days delay. Yeah, sorry. 32 days delay as a result. Okay, so it's 32 days of delay in this project as of now. And I can track that every week and have that DCP&A. I can also track my cost performance index. And this can be done, for instance, by say, well, I have a budget as of today, and I have expenses as of today, a sort of cash flow. And if I am negative with this cash flow, then I am basically fine. So I would like to be always positive on that. Okay. Well, that'll be it. And then with the plan, also important and interesting maybe. Let me see what I can put that. With the plan, I can go and use a little trick, okay, and use two colors. This is what I usually do. Okay, I can use let's say gray for the current state of the process, how things should, how things are, and I can use, let's say, light blue for how things should be for the future state of the process. And so I can describe what has been already performed as planned and whatnot. So in one picture, I have a whole view of how things are going on as of today. So this is also interesting. Well, as we go on, I would like to give you a little exercise for next week. So deadline is March 23rd, 2020. You can work in pairs, online, of course, please, or you can work individually. And I want you to think about the process, the project, and a process you'd like to be performing. I would like you to, I mean, some examples are the amount of pages you study every day, or this could be a project, or your bachelor final bachelor work, your bachelor arbeit. You can think of building a closet for your girlfriend, or for your boyfriend, or cooking project, for your girlfriend, or for your parents. I don't know, like baking a cake, whatever. Okay. A process could be like, as I mentioned before, losing weight, eating healthy, eat healthy, or sport, and whatever. Okay, just send me their email, one or in pairs or individually, an idea that you would like to tackle within this lecture. Okay. So I hope you enjoy, and please give feedback on the lecture per email. You can find the content as usual on www.prof-h4.com, and I'm happy if you give me some